This is something you guys have been requesting the hell out of for a long time. It took a lot of time, but I finally found 3 stories that take place during school lockdowns. It was a typically dull day in calculus class, except it was Friday during the 7th period. The week was almost at its end, and spring break was just around the corner. Everyone was shifting restlessly in their seats. I could tell we didn't have a test that day, unlike many of my friends who did with their other teachers. Midway through class, our teacher, who was always pretty chill, decided to have us play games on sporkle.com. He was just that kind of laid-back teacher. While doing a brand logo quiz on Sporkle, I remember exactly when it happened. It was right after my friend answered a question. The answer was Adidas, and I remember that moment clearly. Suddenly, the dean's voice came over the loudspeaker, sounding frantic and panicked, as he announced that this was not a drill, and instructed all teachers to initiate lockdown procedures. I immediately felt chills run through me, and goosebumps formed on my arms. Even our usually relaxed teacher seemed alarmed as he hurriedly switched off the lights and ushered us all into the back corner of the room. For about 2 minutes, we sat in absolute silence. Then, the buzzing sound from a panel at the back of the room suddenly stopped. This meant the school had cut the power. At that point, we all exchanged nervous glances, realizing just how serious this might be. A few more tense minutes passed before we heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs as he came down the hallway. 2 girls in the class broke down crying, which only heightened the fear in the room. The screaming grew louder as the man approached, and he began banging on lockers while continuing to yell. "I'll kill all of you," he screamed. That was the moment when I genuinely feared for my life. Our teacher motioned for us to stay quiet as we all silently looked at one another, trying to gauge everyone's reactions. The banging shifted from the lockers to our classroom door, and that's when one of the crying girls let out a scream, yelling, "No!" The pounding on the door intensified as the man shouted, "Open up!" 2 girls were sobbing loudly now, which made the situation feel even more dire. It felt like an eternity, but eventually, the man moved on down the hallway, still screaming like someone completely unhinged, until we couldn't hear him anymore. About 10 minutes later, although it felt like half an hour under the circumstances, the dean came back on the loudspeaker to explain the situation. What he said shocked all of us. Apparently, a mentally unstable individual had entered the building and assaulted the receptionist at the front desk, causing her to flee the building in terror. The staff wasn't sure if the man was armed or not. This all happened before the school had cameras or adequate security. So the building was essentially wide open for something like this to occur. The staff searched the hallways and classrooms, but couldn't locate the man. The dean instructed teachers to resume their lessons, but to keep the doors locked and not let anyone leave the classroom for any reason. The most chilling part, though, came later. That night, a janitor working the night shift found the man sleeping in a storage closet at the far end of the school. Rumors spread among the students that a .44 Magnum was spotted sticking out of the man's pocket. It seems the janitor might have done something that startled him, maybe leaving the closet door open, because by the time the police arrived, the man was gone. To this day, as far as I know, no one from my class has any idea whether that man was ever caught. But I like to believe that wherever he is now, he's finally getting the help he so desperately needed. My school has 2 separate lunch periods. The first one is for all 6th graders, along with a portion of the 7th graders. The second lunch period is for the rest of the 7th graders and all of the 8th graders. The lockdown took place at the beginning of October. That day, the sky was overcast and it was raining. During the first lunch period, I heard 4 loud bangs. At first, I assumed it was just thunder, but suddenly, the entire lunchroom erupted in screams. I remember thinking that those kids were being way too dramatic. But then, campus security stormed in, yelling at everyone to get inside the multi-purpose room. Any kids who were in line buying lunch had to throw their food away and hurry inside. My friends and I went in along with a massive crowd of students. Everyone was on edge, trying to figure out what was going on. The multi-purpose room in our school is huge, and the entire back wall is made of glass. As soon as we were rushed inside, campus security started covering the glass with curtains, while adults stationed themselves at every exit. Like the rest of us, my friend Eric was curious about what was happening, so he went up to one of the adults and asked. When he came back, he told us, "You know those houses right in front of TMS?" I nodded. "There's this mentally unstable guy who barricaded himself outside his house," Eric continued. "He's threatening to kill himself and take down any cops who try to evict him." He also mentioned that the guy had been lurking around outside the school, watching kids in an unsettling way. To make things worse, it turned out the man was a registered sex offender. We were stuck in the multi-purpose room for an entire hour, which ended up taking up 2 class periods. Once everything was settled, we were escorted back to our classrooms one by one. Later, I found out the man lived next door to my friend Brandy. She told me about something disturbing that happened the previous Halloween. She had seen the same man standing at his window, carving into his own arm and using his blood to write on the glass, "Don't come here or I'll kill you." At the time, Brandy, like everyone else, assumed it was just a creepy Halloween decoration. But after this incident, we knew for sure the guy was completely deranged. And we were all just grateful he never got close to us. But first, did you know that 98% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed? That means you. And yes, I am speaking specifically to you. Probably aren't. So now would be a great time to leave a like on the video and subscribe. Anyhow, I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and I recently landed a job at my old high school as a computer intern, working down in the school basement. The basement itself is a cluttered, disorganized mess, but tucked away down there is a small, surprisingly nice 3-person office. It has 3 large desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV mounted on the wall, and best of all, ice-cold air conditioning, a luxury that neither students nor teachers get to enjoy in the rest of the school. And of course, all the school servers and computer equipment are stored there. I got the job thanks to 3 of my old computer teachers who absolutely adored me. I actually considered them real friends, not just teachers. They all helped me tremendously in securing this position. Everything had been going great until a few weeks ago. At the time, my 2 co-workers, Dave and Gary, weren't in the office with me. They were upstairs dealing with paperwork or something. I was on my lunch break, sitting at my desk and eating my sandwich, when I got a call from one of the women in the front office. She told me the school was on lockdown. Someone, possibly armed, had entered the building. There wasn't much I could do except turn off the lights. For some reason, despite how nice this little office was, it didn't actually have a door, just a large open entrance. To make things worse, the door leading to the entire basement didn't even have a functioning lock. For my own safety, I shut off all the lights in the office, as well as my computer screen. I placed my phone on the desk and texted both Gary and Dave, but neither of them responded. So I just sat there in the dark, playing games on my phone, waiting for the front office to give the all clear. I had no idea what was happening upstairs. I couldn't hear a thing from down in the basement, and I wasn't allowed to make any calls until the lockdown was officially lifted. Then I heard the basement door open. The creaking sound echoed through the basement and carried into my office. I sat up in my seat, debating whether I should call out to Gary or Dave. I was desperate for some kind of information. Suddenly, I heard someone rushing down the stairs, their footsteps growing louder as they approached my office. I quickly pushed my chair back and crawled under my desk. Someone stepped into the office but didn't turn on the lights. The room was silent. I can't even put into words the sheer terror I felt at that moment. It felt like if I made even the slightest sound, I'd be dead. Then my phone dinged. In that instant, my entire world seemed to collapse in on itself. I clenched my teeth, frozen in fear. The footsteps moved closer to me. I panicked. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I dove out from under the desk, surrendering, pleading with whoever was there not to kill me. And then, someone grabbed my arm and pulled me up. It was a man wearing a red plaid button-up, jeans, and a reddish-black cap. He looked at me and said, "It's okay. I'm just down here hiding with you." "What's going on up there?" I whispered. He ignored my question and instead asked, "Is there an exit down here?" I nodded hesitantly. "Yeah, that way." Before he could do anything else, I asked, "Who are you?" There was a brief moment of silence before he finally spoke. He told me he had just come to pick up his son when a teacher told him to hide. As he was talking, I checked my phone and read the text message I had received. It was from Dave. "Dude, this is fucking crazy. Some guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and a hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." I was about to read the text out loud until I looked up at the man standing in front of me. My stomach dropped. He must have noticed the sudden change in my expression because his face tensed up. He looked panicked. I didn't think. I just ran for the stairs. A gunshot rang out, echoing through the basement. I heard the bullet ricochet off something metal in the darkness. But by some miracle, he missed. I made it upstairs, where police were already stationed at every exit, including the basement door. The second the man stepped outside, they caught him. The good news? Mr. Buckley survived the gunshot. Later, we found out that the man had some sort of personal vendetta against Mr. Buckley. Why? That was never made clear. All I know is that Mr. Buckley couldn't have done anything to deserve what happened that day. And no matter what, the sound of that gunshot will haunt me forever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more amazing video. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. All right, that's it for today. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.